After seeing how you can go about creating a motion tween, the next question is how can you modify a motion tween outside of its most basic setup that we saw in the last movie. I'm working with a document called edittween.fla, which is available inside the Chapter 5 folder. What I'd like to do here is just create a motion tween. We have this car up here in the top right-hand corner of the stage. Let's come down to this first keyframe and right-click or control-click and choose Create Motion Tween. Now, as you know, that will extend out the timeline to frame 24, waiting for a property keyframe. So we can set up a property keyframe by selecting the car and clicking and dragging it somewhere else on the stage. And of course, that creates the path. And if we want to modify the path, if we place our cursor on top of it, we get that curved line, meaning if we click and drag, we modify the path. But there's other things that you can do to modify the path. For example, if you click on the path, you'll select it. And once you select it, if you hover over it, you'll notice you get a move icon next to your arrow, meaning if you click and drag, you'll pick up the entire animation and move it. What we can also do is come over and choose the white arrow tool, which is called the sub-selection tool here inside of Flash. If you come over and click on an anchor point, you'll get these control arms giving you the ability to alter the direction of the path. So here we can create a nice S-curve. If you go ahead and press Enter or Return on the keyboard, you can see that that's the case. Now, because this is a property keyframe, you can also do other things to this instance. For example, if you come over and choose the arrow tool, the selection tool, you can then come over and highlight the car. At this point, you have the ability to change certain properties, like the color effect. If you wanted to change the brightness or the tint, or even the alpha, you can do that. By dragging the alpha slider down to 0%, not only will the car animate along this path, but it will fade out as it animates. In this case, we don't want it to fade out, so I'm going to go ahead and select the instance and set the style to none. But something that you can do is you can come over and choose the Free Transform tool, and you can do something like change the scale of the car. Maybe you're going to decrease it in size. So not only will it animate along the path, but it will also change its scale. Now, if you come over and select the tween, and you can do that by just clicking on some of the frames here, and you can see that they're highlighted, but furthermore, if you come over to the Properties panel, you'll see you get options for that motion tween. Of course, you have the easing options that you had available to you when working with shape tweens. You can ease in and ease out. Notice you can also rotate the animation. So here we can specify one time, which means it will rotate 360 degrees one time clockwise. Of course, you can add a certain number of degrees to that rotation if necessary. We don't want to rotate this, but if I just scrub the playhead, we can see the rotation taking place within the animation. What I'd like to do is set the rotate option back to 0 times, and I just want to show you that there is an option called Orient to Path. Right now, if you take a look at the car, it stays essentially in the same exact position as it animates. What you could also do is essentially have it rotate around the anchor point by selecting Orient to Path. In this case, it won't make a lot of sense, but you'll notice that the car changes direction as the path changes direction. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect that. So there are options for you when it comes to changing the motion tween after you set it up. You can change the location of the animation, you can change the direction of the motion path, and you also have rotation options, and of course you can change various properties of the instance throughout the animation.